Believe it or not, but the SJWs are very, very upset and angry right now because the Oscars did not nominate enough women for their desires, for their interests. So there's a lot of gnashing of teeth going on between the SJWs right now over that, saying that the people that run the Oscars are super sexist and all of that type of stuff. You know, the usual complaints that we hear over and over again. And now we have Stephen King, which I don't know if he was bolstered by Ricky Gervais's speech at the Golden Globes the other week, but he has come out and kind of took a stand against the outrage culture and their attacks against him and many others who were part of the nominations for the Oscars. Unfortunately, I have to say, the thing that he did do that Ricky Gervais didn't do was he backtracked a little bit after he said the things that he said. But with that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at what Stephen King has to say here, because what he says here is very important. It's really well said, and it needs to be said. So, Stephen King awakens woke cancel culture mob, and man, are they angry. There's so many people that are just absolutely losing their minds over him. So, let's see here. Stephen King awakens woke cancel culture mob. I would never consider diversity in matters of art. Horror author Stephen King took to Twitter to comment on the recent Oscar nominations and declared that he would never consider diversity in matters of art. King wrote on Twitter, and as a writer, I am allowed to nominate just 3 categories: Best Picture, Best Adapted Screenplay, and Best Original Screenplay. He added, for me, the diversity issue, as it applies to individual actors and directors anyway, did not come up. That said, and then he continued here, I would never consider diversity in matters of art, only quality. It seems to me that to do otherwise would be wrong. And I 100% agree with what he says here. I think that's the way that every single awards show ever should be run, is judging based on quality instead of just diversity. Like, that does not make any sense. There is really no merit in diversity. It's all about, you know, the skills, the talents, the what they can bring to the table as far as their character and their personality and their skills. And that's what every single award season show should be about. That's what every single type of thing like this should be focused on. But, you know, we continue to see where more and more of these types of people are wanting to just push for the diversity and all of that type of stuff. And it's really crazy because even like some of the people that were trying to get their movie nominated and stuff, like Greta Gerwig, she's very shocked that she didn't get picked for Best Director. She didn't get nominated for Best Director. And she's like, this is like completely shocking, because I'm a woman and I was expecting to get an Oscar, you know? I was expecting to get nominated. I'm a woman. Come on, people, I'm a woman. Don't you realize? And it's like, yeah, well, that's not really the way that it should work, you know? I mean, hey, if you were like one of the greatest directors of the year, then yeah, of course, you totally deserve to be nominated. But there's other people that did better jobs than you did this year. Not, you know, it is what it is. But anyway, and Greta Gerwig directed the Little Woman movie, by the way, that came out just a little bit ago. So, continuing on, and then we had some people kind of get caught up in the whole controversy here after what Stephen King said, because as you know, Stephen King said what he said, and then everyone started freaking out and, you know, just completely going off the walls, just completely losing their minds, acting like absolute hooligans. And Drew from Bounding to Comics replied and said here, funny, but he's 100% correct. A well-written work, film, or TV show doesn't focus on political agendas or forced diversity. It is written organically, free of constraint, and I totally agree with Drew. Other responses vehemently disagreed. Of course, as the outrage machine fired right on cue. Oh, Stephen King said something that goes against the narrative. Get outraged, everyone. Freak out. King would even be accused of white privilege. Of course. Of freaking course. You know, I mean, I'm starting to feel like I'm like a prophet or something. You can always tell what's going to be coming next from these people. White men are 35% of the population. It's not logical they produce 100% of the quality of art. And no one's saying that, you know? No one is saying that. Sir, respectfully saying you as a white man can't really say that. You had more advantages and opportunities than a person of color would have because people of color are pathetic and they can't do anything themselves. Don't you know you're just supposed to hand stuff to them just because they have a little bit more melanin in their skin than you have? That's the way that the world is supposed to work. I'm obviously just kind of making my own comments on what he's saying here. They have been wrongfully held back in so many ways just because of their color skin. And you people continue to hold them back because you treat them like they're helpless, pathetic children who can't do anything themselves. With the utmost respect, I think that this is quite a bit unfair. When films created by people of color, irrespective of quality, constantly get overlooked by institutions that are predominantly comprised of white men, there is an implicit bias at work here. But you say this from white privilege. I wrote a quality children's book on Elon. Wait a second. This person wrote a quality children's book on Elon Omar. There's many things in that sentence that do not that do not compute at all. Last summer, and the struggle to get it published was painful, and ultimately it didn't happen. No crap, I could have told you that before you even tried to get it published. Who the heck would want to read that garbage? Come on. I mean, if you really needed someone to tell you that that wasn't going to work out, I could have told you that. And it wasn't because Elon Omar is a person of color, or, you know, even if you're a person of color, you're called a crafty Arab. It's because of the garbage human being that you're writing a children's book on. And that's just because of her ridiculous ideas and her ridiculous character. That's not because of the color of her skin. These people are nuts, man. They're absolutely insane. It didn't take long for Stephen King to start trending on Twitter. As more eyes locked onto the tweet and the responses rolled in, the It writer would later attempt to clarify his comments, of course, and this is where the backtracking starts, because this happens every time when someone who is part of the leftist narrative steps out of line. And that's what Stephen King did for just a second, but then he tried to basically backtrack on things a little bit here. I think deep down inside, he completely agrees with what he first tweeted. I think that's exactly what he thinks. But, you know, he has to do what he can to try to appease the woke gods. So he says, the most important things we can do as artists and creative people is make sure everyone has the same fair shot regardless of sex or color or orientation. Right now, such people are badly underrepresented, and not only in the arts. You can't win awards if you're shut out of the game. And so he you know, is trying to basically backtrack a little bit and say, you know, it's because of the institutions that are holding these people back and blah 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 blah. And I don't really necessarily 100% agree with that. I think that could maybe be a play, but there are plenty of great people out there that have done great things that have won awards. I mean, just look at the Oscars last year. We had Spike Lee himself winning Best Director. So suddenly in the space of like a year, suddenly everyone is super duper sexist again? It's just ridiculous. That's basically what these people think. They have like the minds of goldfish. They can't remember what happened last year. And the fact that there were so many people of color that were nominated and won last year. And I'm not saying that as in like, oh, how dare they? Like, oh, that's terrible. I'm just saying that's literally what happened. Of course, this wasn't good enough, as the outrage mob would point out. It's never good enough. You can never appease these people. Don't even try. Stephen King, what are you doing, man? You can't ever apologize. You can never say anything that will win back the love of the people when you step out of the line. How dare you, Stephen King, you horrible white man. This is a very strange tweet to make after the previous. I'm curious how you envision we ensure everyone has a fair shot without even ever considering diversity. Which is a good point. I mean, Stephen King kind of shut himself up in a corner there. But Stephen King isn't saying that diversity is bad. He isn't saying anything like that. You know, he's just saying that it should be judged on the talent of the person, their skill set, and what they bring to the table with the quality of their product. not because, you know, oh, you're black. Cool. Okay, you win the award. Good job. Good job. That's not how any of this should work. And that's not how any awards ceremony should work. Or any sort of contest or competition or anything. One user made it clear they wanted Stephen King canceled and also described him as a racist F. Someone canceled this racist F, of course, because that's what they do. You know, obviously none of these people are really that important besides, I mean, most of these people barely have anybody that liked their comments anyway, so it's not like these people really mattered. But it is pathetic that Stephen King has to, like, bend the knee to people that don't even get any likes on their comments at all, you know? It's pretty sad to see. While King was predictably faced with the woke cancel culture attacks, and he also predictably backtracked, the interesting thing here is that even though he watered down his original statement with the follow-up, the writer did point out what was wrong with the arts today. Totally agree. Too often, creators box themselves in trying to work out around the manufactured constraints of perceived diversity, and the quality of their work suffers. They sometimes go completely away from their original vision in order to live up to the imposed standards of the perceived woke Twitter society. Yep. I mean, Stephen King, you know, it's oh, let's see here. King's tweets come on the heels of comedian Ricky Gervais giving Hollywood a much-needed wake-up call in his Golden Globes monologue just a week ago. And to be honest, you know, if Stephen King doubled down on his comments that he made, he'd probably get a lot more support and praise. But, you know, he, of course, had to do a little bit of backtracking there to try to get fit back in with the woke crowd and all that type of stuff. Unfortunately, now he has a mark on his head because of the horrible thing that he said about, you know, wanting to judge things based on quality and not based on the color of the person's skin. What a horrible thing to say, Stephen King. You absolute racist F. Poor Stephen. Anyway, you know, I agree with what he said. I agree with pretty much most of the stuff that he said here. And I think that he's really spot on here. And, you know, it needs to be said. It'll be interesting to watch as more people continue to speak out about this. Just don't bend the knee, okay? Like, if you're going to say something like this, don't backtrack it. Double down on it. And you will work wonders. So with that being said, hope you guys enjoyed. Subscribe to my channel, Josiah Rises, as well if you can. I would greatly appreciate that. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll talk to you all very soon in another video. Talk to you later. Bye.
Hey, this is Jay with Geeks and Gamers with a special announcement. Over the past few years, several of us have been trying to complete a home that will house orphans and displaced children in the country of El Salvador. We were hoping that this home would be finished by the time Christmas rolled around in 2019. Unfortunately, we did not meet our goal to complete this home. Partnering with Jeremy and all of us here at Geeks and Gamers and with you, we are setting up a GoFundMe to raise some funds that hopefully will help us get closer to our goal in completing this home. We will use the money to hire professionals to check out the home and also pay for some educational costs for many of the children. This will help with the burden of those raising money, and more money can be put into this home to be completed. Me and several staff members from Geeks and Gamers will be traveling to El Salvador at the end of May that we can bring a significant amount of money to finish this project. We hope that you would want to partner with us in this as well. So please click on the link, read about it, and do the best that you can. Thank you so much.